But yeah, FYI, some of them are having a hard time finding the Zoom link. It looks like TJ can't find the link either.
Oh.
So that's, yeah, I sent out a reminder just earlier. Even myself too, I had to register, and that was a couple of steps I didn't see in the initial email.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, for next time.
I think Teams sometimes too might be a little easier to use in comparison to Zoom, I found. And Luke, are you still chatting with TJ? Is he getting in or?
Yeah, it's like Marilyn sent him something.
Thank you everyone as well for hopping on this morning and joining us for this conversation as well. I'm really excited. So happy to see a great turnout this morning. So 11:04, let's hop in. I wanted to start out with some introductions. So first I'll introduce myself and then have our other SSBCI teammates introduce themselves. So I am Olivia Kettering, Montana Department of Commerce, Business MT Division, Business Development Manager. So really that's a fancy way to say I manage the loan section as well as some of our grant programs, SSBCI being one of those programs. We do also have Miss Jamie Lemieux on the phone today. She is our program specialist. So she deals a lot on the reporting side of things, as well as when loan packages come in, she's doing an initial look through to be sure that everything we required is there. So she's our detail gal. We also have Miss Judy Tice. She is our loan coordinator. I don't see that she's on quite yet. However, she operates as a loan officer. So if you have questions about a transaction, structuring it, whether the proposed project is allowable, she's great to hit with any of those kind of policy questions. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. And then if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or chime in. Happy to answer them as we go. Otherwise, at the end, we will have a question and feedback. Can everyone see my screen? Should be looking at the Montana State Small Business Credit Initiative Program History Overview. Okay. So this is something that was sent out in that email. And this is really just a great program one-pager. If you have a borrower who, might be in looking for another funding opportunity, however, you think they may be eligible for SSBCI. SSBCI is ARPA funds. We did have a program back in 2010 as well. So this would be our SSBCI 2.0. With that being said, Montana, as a participating jurisdiction, was awarded $60 million in total to send and help businesses, whether they need to stabilize, diversify, grow, relaunch. Perhaps they're looking to expand into a new market. But the key here in this program is you cannot find reasonable financing terms elsewhere. So you may be a borrower that has a great business, you want to expand, but as soon as you start to expand, you're not going to have the equity you need to keep the daily operations going. So a bank may look at that and turn you down and say, well, not quite yet. But with the help of SSBCI, the lender will have a risk mitigation partner and a blended rate to lower the overall payment, making that loan much more feasible for the borrower and much more attractive for the bank as well. So with our program partners, the network is very vast. We work very closely with community development financial institutions, CDFIs, and Economic Development Organization EDOs, those who have revolving loan funds. So we use the CDFI as a middleman to really help move the program, the process along. So they help with a lot of our marketing, as well as helping us get in front of the SETI communities. So socially, economically disadvantaged individual. That is what we would consider SETI in this program. With SSBCI, a part of finding those borrowers who cannot find reasonable financing elsewhere is serving a demographic which Treasury has given us a framework for what that looks like. And so CDFIs help us identify SETI individuals in their community and businesses. So they work with us to get the transactions done, to apply to the program, and during the loan monitoring phase. I see the NABAs as a program partner as well, in the sense that we need your help marketing and working with Native American business owners that maybe we haven't made contact with in the past or haven't worked with Business MT. There's a lot of eligible uses within the program. So really any commercial loan that is not federally excluded, so no marijuana businesses or speculative ventures, we can't fund that. But about anything else can fit into SSBCI. So whether it's equipment, working capital, real estate, there are a lot of different ways in which we can spend this money. I did link our MT SSBCI policy in this handout, so it'll take you directly to that policy. We'll take a look at where that is on the website later as well. I would encourage you all to do a read through, but of course, always feel free, if you're getting into the details of the policy, to invite our Montana staff into the conversation. And we're always happy to work through some of those particulars as well. Then here at the bottom, I wanted to throw out our interest rates. For our interest rates, they're based on the term of the loan, and this would be specific to the SSBCI participated balance. With that being said, that's where your blended rate comes in. So if we participate 50% in a transaction and our money is 1%, the bank participates the other 50 at, let's just say 10%, we're blending the borrower's payment down to an 8.5-9. Then you'll see just right here at the bottom, potential applicants are always encouraged to contact their local CDFI RLF, as well as program staff, particularly that local CDFI RLF manager, because they're going to have to be a part of the overall transaction. So the sooner we can get that relationship formed, the more seamless the process goes on later. So then we'll hop just right over here. This was another handout in that email. And if anybody didn't receive these, I'm happy to send them out to you as well. So this is just how do we help businesses access and get to this funding opportunity? There's a lot of moving parts and pieces in SSBCI, and a lot of different parts and pieces can happen simultaneously. So it doesn't always have to be sequential in the same manner. However, this is your general how to approach that conversation. So I would start by asking your borrowers, do they have a local CDFI RLF manager they're working with? Every program, or excuse me, every application to the program will need a CDFI to apply on their behalf. If the business doesn't currently have a lender, whether it's a credit union, a bank, a CDFI, they will want to start creating and forming that relationship with the bank. So particularly with this time of year, if there were commercial tax extensions in April, it might be that your lender is going to need more historicals for your tax returns, or they're going to want to look at, the beginning of the year with your balance statements. Really great to get the business in front of a commercial lender sooner than later, so that they can start collecting whatever they need from the borrower, so that come application time and our open application cycle, everything is ready to go from the bank's side of things. And with that also being said, we will work with any bank or credit union so long as they execute an SSBCI lender loan servicing agreement. So we have a lot of community banks already approved in the program, but maybe some of those smaller community banks, we may not. That we are always happy to hop on a Zoom call. We can provide them with our agreement. It is posted on our website as well, so that they can look over that and consider the terms and conditions. Once that agreement is signed, they're an approved lender. Generally speaking, your bigger corporate banks like Wells Fargo, they are unwilling and or unable to enter into that kind of servicing agreement because they're just so large of a bank. And there are specific aspects as to how we need our half of the funding managed. So that's really what that agreement is we are going to issue our half of the funding to the bank, and the bank needs to manage it in a particular way. So once you determine if they have a lender, if they don't, we're always happy to confirm that the lender is already approved. And if not, we can start that conversation and get that ball rolling on our side. Once you determine if they have a commercial lender, I would identify their local economic development organization. So whether it's in the same town, maybe a county over, we have 19 approved CDFI RLF partners, all of which are on our website. And we are indifferent as to which they choose, but generally speaking, we recommend 2 or 3 that are close in a geographical area to where the business is. And again, similar to with a lender, the sooner they can start the relationship with the CDFI, the better. Both the lender and the CDFI do need to underwrite the loan and supply the credit underwriting as a part of the application. So then at this point in the conversation, I would be discussing with the prospective borrower what the lender may or may not need. Some CDFIs may also want a business plan. I think this is also where the NABAs could be really instrumental in helping the business work through. If they don't have a business plan, here are the components to get one pulled together. If they haven't been in this down here, generally necessitating profit and loss, business, financial statements, tax return, articles of organization. If they don't have the articles of organization and they're a small business, maybe just help them draft that. That is also a part of our application, so we don't need anything fancy out of that, but this is just a glimpse at some of the bits and pieces that a borrower may need help working through before they're really ready to apply to this program. Then with the application process. So this is on an application cycle. Our next cycle round will be August 16th to September 16th. So that's 1 month to apply. But as you can probably tell with how many different bits and pieces are moving and, you know, they may have half of it, but not the other half. There's a lot to work through before you can really truly go and apply during that cycle. And there's not always enough time to start this conversation with the banker at the beginning of a cycle, depending on where their capacity is or their vacations and what have you. So as mentioned, the CDFI RLF will be the person to apply to the program on the business's behalf. Once they apply, our team will get in, we'll look for all necessary application uploads. Is it an eligible business? Is it suitable with our state and program requirements, as well as Treasury policy and guidelines? If there's anything missing in the application at all, we'll catch that at this point in time and go back to the CDFI to work with the business to get whatever it is that we need to consider it a fully complete application. Then on this last bit, here are all 3 of our program specialists. So myself, Miss Judy, and Jamie. I did link our emails and our name there. So if you do click on the underline, it should just open up right to us. Otherwise, again, I always recommend that whether it's you, the NABA, or the CDFI who is receiving a business that you connected them with, that you reach out to program staff or someone along the way so we can work through the potential application. So from here, let's hop over to our website. And this is going to be our Business MT SSBCI webpage. This is all boilerplate, what we've already gone over. And then this is where our policy lives. Most recently, we updated our policy in January. If we were to do so again, it would be posted here. This is also going to show your borrower and loan size requirements at a quick glance. Then here's where we have our funding availability. So for this next application cycle coming up in August, we have $6.9 million that we are going to be obligating out to Montana businesses. Then right here is that list of participating CDFI RLFs. So as soon as a CDFI RLF manager executes a CDFI RLF loan servicing agreement, they are added right here on our webpage. So if a borrower is unsure where to go or they want to refer back, always direct them to our website, and then here's all the contact information for our partners that are approved. Then we have just a quick blurb of our application process here. So again, it's all running through the CDFI. Forms, these are required forms in the program, most of which the CDFI already have downloaded on their end, and they facilitate the borrower signing when it's most appropriate. A couple of these are required at time of application, however, not all of them. But it is nice to hop in and be able to take a look at what you will need to sign if you were to be approved in the program. This training tab currently has just this one training. When this webinar is finished and recorded, we'll go ahead and add it right here. So if you were to want to refer back, this is where you'll find it. And then of course, our contact information. If a business were to hop in and submit this form here, it will go to our general SSBCI inbox, and one of the Montana team members will reach out to them. So that's the website in its entirety. And from here, I want to go and just take a look at the application. So this is our SSBCI application. These are our first 3 qualifying questions of the app. So are you a participating? Yes. Again, we only want the CDFI applying. You must be in good standing and registered with Montana Secretary of State, as well as you have to have less than 750 full-time equivalent employees. So this is a little bit on the longer side. However, with it being federal funding, there's quite a lot on here that is required simply from a reporting standpoint. So first, we're going to grab all of our CDFI and lender information. We will always have a lender and a CDFI involved in a transaction. In some instances, the CDFI will also be the lender. That is allowable within the program, so long as the funds which the CDFI are using in the transaction are not other federal funds. Here's all of the uploads required at time of application. So again, we do need full credit underwriting as well as internal loan approval as a part of this application. Articles of organization or in-kind documentation. Again, we're not picky here. It's to ensure that we have all appropriate signers we need from a Treasury policy standpoint. So in-kind documentation. A single member LLC might simply be a Word document saying, I am the only manager and it is a single member, signed. Just that easy. So then these certifications, the borrower, the lender, use of proceeds, conflict of interest, and SETI-owned business. These are all forms on the website that are required proactively. And this city-owned business certificate, we can take a look at as well, and it'll give you a clearer picture of what that city requirement looks like. So then we're in our part 2 of business information. So is this an eligible passive company, operating company? A lot of boilerplate information you would generally see on most other loan applications. Business ownership. And if you guys see anything you had a question about, do feel free to ask. This loan purpose, this will just give you a glimpse. Of course, down here, there are other eligible uses. So this certainly doesn't catch them all. So then one of the most important parts is explain why you need Montana SSBCI 2.0 funds for this loan. So it's that but for. We're looking for why do you need us? And with that being said, we are looking to be the, well, I couldn't get this done if it weren't for the help of SSBCI. Your lender loan amount, and then here's your CDFI RLF portion, which is the SSBCI portion. Your forecasted loan closing date, we are looking for shovel-ready projects. It is an aspect of our SSBCI policy that loans are funded within 180 days of application. So we're looking to get those businesses that are in the most need, or they're ready and they already have their capital stack organized and can get going once the loan is closed. So then we're getting into the fee side of things. In SSBCI, fees cannot exceed 3%. And all of these little details can be hard to recall. However, we're here in the CDFIs are to be sure that all of those little aspects of eligibility are maintained in the transaction. So then at the end, the CDFI will fill in their names, submit it off. Any extra attachments are thrown down here, and that is the SSBCI application in its entirety. So once we've gone through that whole process, we are then at a transaction level workflow here. So the NABAs really truly are living in this first square of businesses is going to their primary lender. Maybe they're going to an economic development organization, or maybe they're coming to sit in your office to pursue another funding opportunity. But where your engagement is, again, it's minimal time in the sense that it could be as simple as getting one of those one-pagers in their hands and saying, we think you're eligible. Here's the website. Here are some participating CDFIs to get a hold of. But from a transaction level, if the borrower were curious, this is really how it runs. So once they are interested in the program and the conversation is started, the lender and the CDFI start to engage together. So they're working in terms of what fees are you charging? Here's the dollar amount, here's the purpose. CDFI is also going to be discussing with the lender, is it a true SSBCI need? We saw it once in the past where a lender had applied to the program, and the reason behind it was to simply make his loan more competitive versus other lending institutions. That is not an SSBCI need for funding. So that's where that will get generally sloughed out. Then the CDFI RLF will determine if they're completely eligible, and if so, they're underwriting the loan. Once the loan is underwritten, all collateral is determined, the CDFI will apply during our open application cycle. With SSBCI, there is a component of recycled funds. So with that being said, this is generally true. If it were recycled funds, that is a rolling application. So that would be the only difference here. So then, as mentioned, we'll go through, we'll look at the application for necessary program information. And then after our application cycle closes, we will hold our SSBCI loan review committee. The committee will get together, review all submitted applications, and those applications will be scored using a scoring rubric that is on ServiceNow, and we are in the final phases of tinkering it for tranche 3, and that will be posted so you all can take a look and see where potentially would a transaction score. So then the loan would be approved or denied. Of course, again, if we need more information, we will be reaching out to the CDFI to obtain what's needed. We do, as a team, always run through that managing CDFI RLF. So if we need something from the lender, we hit the CDFI and they'll go and work with whichever is the appropriate party to get those details. If denied, or simply ineligible, whatever the case may be, we will issue a notice and the application is withdrawn. Otherwise, the loan is approved and we'll issue a commitment letter. The commitment letter will have the conditions for funding. It will list all treasury certifications needed, as well as your commitment expiration date, thinking back to that 180-day rule in our policy. And then past our commitment letter, that will be sent to the CDFI, executed by our MT team, the primary lender, participating lender, and the business. Once that is executed, we consider the loan fully obligated. Once the loan is fully obligated, we transfer our half of the funding to the CDFI. The loan is funded, and then we have a required documentation package submitted to our MT SSBCI team. Then we're getting into loan monitoring and reporting phases. There are reporting aspects to SSBCI. They're not as relevant to the NABAs, but really what that looks like is just a monthly payment report, which is coming from the bank. And then we survey our businesses about 6 months to a year after the program is done, and then for our annual report. But past that, not heavy reporting other than on the payment side, which is managed by the bank. So then lastly, I did want to hop back to our webpage here and just take a look at that study form. So this form is one of Treasury's forms. And as you can see up here, the borrower is not required to provide this. It is absolutely optional. If they identify with any of the following categories below, they can choose that category and sign the document. When it comes to these 2 questions, it's a little bit hard to see here on the screen. Let's just dip it down. Those are helped with by the CDFI as well as our team. We get in and we look at the CDFI investment area map, and that is truly your address is either in the area or it's not. Generally speaking, a borrower would not know that if we didn't kind of walk them through. Otherwise, you'll see up here, business enterprise that is owned and controlled by individuals who have had their access to credit on reasonable terms diminish as compared to others in comparable economic circumstances due to their, and all of these options. It is okay to go ahead and choose anyone here and also attest to being in an area. Then we will have the borrower sign, name, and date. So this would be part of the bigger heart of the program, is to get our funding to SETI-owned businesses. Montana as a jurisdiction has done wonderful throughout the program, and we've really been a leader in the state in this regard. Treasury's goal for our SETI expended funds is 34.32%, whereas as a state, we're at 68%. So we're doing a great job stacking our pipeline with SETI loans. And part of our effort in this call is to also facilitate an even better job. So we want to do better than our 68%. So with that, I'll go ahead and pause. And I can campus out right here. If anybody had questions, we would like for any questions to be asked. If you have any feedback or just general thoughts in terms of an event that you think, might be really great for an SSBCI program staff to be at, or it could be that maybe we just need materials, or you would like separate materials than what we put out here. That would be really instrumental in cross-selling to prospective borrowers. This is really just a question, feedback, whatever you guys have for us, we're happy to hear. And then we're looking to continue to collaborate up until August and then after August. Again, there are recycled funds in SSBCI. So as the principal balance is being paid back by borrowers who we've already deployed funds with, that funding will be available to businesses to apply to up until program end. So program end is not until 2028, and it would be in January. So we have a few more years, and I think it will be very instrumental to stay in touch with the NABA network and where CDFIs are at in their funding. The CDFI is going to be managing those applications because they are going to be the most aware of the balance they have available to lend when it comes to recycling. So it'll be great as well to collaborate in all different directions so that we can get those borrowers in touch with the right people. And if they're not ready, provide them the TA to get there, whether that level of TA is at the NABAs, at the CDFI level, or at our program level. We want to prepare borrowers so that they're ready to pursue and just be and work with everyone along the way. So any questions, thoughts? I do see that Miss Judy and Jamie are both on now. So they are also able, if you guys wouldn't mind clicking off or turning on your camera, I should say, you can see just our faces too. So if you see us out and about, always feel free to stop and say hi. I love doing Zoom, but of course I always prefer being able to see and meet everybody in person too.
Hey Olivia, this is Carrie with Montana Native Growth Fund. My question would be, are these funds, are they going to be allocated to each CDFI, or is it just the general open to all CDFIs?
Yep, open to all CDFIs so long as you have that loan servicing agreement. So I'm currently working with Miss Laura at NADC to get NADC approved in the program as well, so that they can be listed on our webpage, as well as if they have capital, they can operate as a lender or a CDFI in the transaction. But any borrower can work with any CDFI. 1.0, we did keep all funding with the CDFIs at program end. 2.0 is a little bit different. At program end, we're going to recall 50% back to the state and keep 50% with the EDOs. Up until that point, however, it is SSBCI funding and is still tainted. So it will continue to revolve as SSBCI, which is different than what had happened in 1.0.
Thank you.
Yeah, and two, if there's so NADC, NACDCFS, working with both of them to get them enrolled. If there's a CDFI or an EDO I should touch base with that maybe comes to mind, happy to do so. Or if you have that contact, I'd love to make that connection too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go through it as a staff to see if this would be a program that we'd like to initiate. So I'll probably contact you on Monday, if that's okay.
That'd be great. Yeah. And two, I know I threw a lot at you guys in terms of just information, and this is a really robust program. So it could be that if you want just offline conversation to dig into certain details or aspects, or if there's a part that is maybe feeling clunky and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, more than happy to hop on a call as well and do additional training. Or again, if there's any material specifically that would be helpful or a visual, more than happy to provide on our end. But if there are no other questions, I would just like to say again, thank you to everyone for participating in our call today. I really look forward to our ongoing collaboration. And then a huge thank you to TJ, Luke, Rochelle, Marilyn, for all of your time. It's been wonderful to work with our team here in Business MT to also get us connected with you guys. So thank you, everyone. And please do not hesitate to reach out. Questions, feelings, thoughts, concerns, any of it, I'm happy to receive it. So,
hey, Olivia.
yes.
Hey, I just wanted to have you just check the chat. I just put a few notes in there.
Absolutely. Good call out. Thank you, Rochelle. Give me 1 second. It's not. I stop sharing, and that way it's a little easier. Oh, and great call out by Rochelle there. Our commerce website will be getting a new look at the end of the July. So this will look a little bit different. Thank you, Rochelle, for making that note. Don't be alarmed if it's not exactly as what you saw today. With that being said, ServiceNow also has all of our forms on it. So if you are used to going straight to ServiceNow and skipping over the Business MT side of it, that's absolutely okay, and you can find resources there. The training resources are specific to the Business MT webpage. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. So thanks once again, everyone. Please feel free to reach out and have a beautiful summer to you otherwise.
Thank you.